welcome to the Comedy Studio Podcast. Where's my pen?
The only podcast. Only podcast.
I'm your host, Danny Hatch. Your other host is Eli Levy.
Hello.
Eli.
Hey.
What's new in Eli land?
In Eli land? Played some video games with good Boston comedian Al Christakis last night.
He'll be on our shows this weekend.
He will be. He's on our show Saturday.
There are some comics who seem to struggle with the online format, and certainly can't blame them. It's a curveball, and who could have seen it coming? But Al, he seems to have really embraced it, and it seems the setting seems to enhance his jokes.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy, and there's just something. It's alchemic, and it seems to work very well.
Alchemic for Al Christakis?
Exactly. See what I'm talking about this Saturday. What game did you play?
We've been playing
Blocker.
He bought me a copy of this zombie game from a while ago called Dying Light, and it's you can play it co-op. So we were fighting zombies together.
Are there any video games where you get to be a zombie?
Yeah, and Left 4 Dead 2, there's a mode that lets you play as the zombies and you try and kill the survivors and stop them from reaching the end. It's really fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Our special guest today is the owner.
Sounds like you didn't write anything.
The owner operator.
Danny never writes anything. It's all off the top of his head.
That's
the magic.
Hang on, let me pull out my notes.
Comedy Studio Total Landscaping.
He's the owner-operator of Rick's Cool Special Events, LLC. He'll put it on your special event anywhere you want. Rick Jenkins, welcome to the show, Rick. How does this happen? As soon as it starts, your mic goes off. Did you do this on purpose?
Batteries. I'm gonna guess batteries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought we decided I signed in at 12:55. Then a minute. Okay, 2 minutes.
Everyone knows the
show
biggest problems in broadcasting and recording can be solved in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, 4 minutes. 1 minute before going live.
I was saying earlier, some comics really seem to take like a fish to water to the online format. Rick, unfortunately.
I usually have
What happened?
put in fresh batteries before everything, but you guys had me so worried about getting in late.
But that's the kind of thing that we like.
How could we do
There we
such
go.
a
It
thing?
was our fault.
You know what? I feel so
Thank you
guilty
for
now.
calling
I don't
us
know
out.
what I'm gonna do.
Now, how long has Al been doing comedy before the quarantine? Would he be considered? I think he might be considered one of those people that it's not a curveball so much as that's just part of how comedy is done.
He's just got the juice. He's got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying in terms of, I think a lot of older comics, it's a real curveball that
Sure.
I used to do comedy this way.
Oh
now
yeah.
I have to do it that way. I'm wondering if he's part of that generation that oh no, it's.
He's just
how
used to
comedy's
being.
done.
Maybe.
Al's just one of those people that's funny no matter what setting you're in, whether it's on stage, off stage, on camera, off camera, hanging out, playing video games, whatever it is. He's just fucking being himself, and himself.
feel like
Himself is hilarious.
We've been seeing Al for maybe like a year before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
6 months to a year.
Yeah, I'll ask him on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Pop him the big question.
Well, because that's what I find really fascinating. It seems like a lot of the older comics, the comics with 5-10 years of experience, had a lot more trouble handling this. And there's a whole generation of comedians who only know this. It's almost a year now.
It's like when
when
my parents got divorced, I was 11, so I certainly knew what life was like before. But my sister Bridget was like 2 years old.
Yeah,
2 years old, maybe 4. I don't know. But the point being, she didn't even know the world before that.
yeah.
So
She
it was
just
easy
assumes
for
there's
her to
always
adapt. Yes.
Yeah. There's always 2 Thanksgivings, 2
Always
Christmases.
2 Christmases. Yeah.
Yeah, but no matter who you are in that, whether you started with this or not, everyone's still waiting to go back to the old way.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying in terms of style.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing stand up, sitting down, as opposed to standing up is, something to get used to.
Oh yeah, for
Strange.
sure.
Yeah. Seems like before it was only reserved for Dr. Cosby, but now that there's a vacuum there. he used to do it sitting down.
Well, like every form of entertainment's different. Like a lot of comics are considering going into like game streaming or something on Twitch. That's even different from doing stand up. It's a whole different ball game to like keep an audience engaged for hours at a time
Mhm.
and like also keep yourself entertained. And like not one of the worst things to watch is somebody on stream being bad at a game.
When I was a kid
It's
growing
very
up,
frustrating.
There's no room for me, is what you're saying.
Oh,
I
you
used to
could
spend
do
a
it.
lot of time watching
I
cousins
think
play video
there's a
games.
Counter Strike champion
No,
in you,
it's,
just in you.
I told you there's a shit talking chess out there.
Oh,
Go
I'll
to
bet there is.
chess.com and it's talking smack while throwing pawns around.
The trash talking on Twitch chats is so toxic.
Oh, I can't imagine.
My
Apparently-
roommate, he plays World of Warcraft, and like the voice chats on there, just in like the section where you trade goods for money, he's told me is one of the most toxic chats he's ever been in.
Now, is World of Warcraft still a thing for most people?
It is now because this year they re-released the like original game as like a re-release, so now you can play through like the game from start to finish again, and they've completely revamped it. So like all the old players are coming back, so it's like huge again.
I was more of a RuneScape guy.
I love RuneScape.
I got scammed on RuneScape. I might have told the story, but
I've gotten
they-
scammed so many times in that game. My friend from back home, he still plays that game just to scam people. He is a monster.
Well, I hate him then because it was devastating when I got scammed when I was 13. They said, "Hey, if you type your I might have said this, but I'll say it again because what else are we gonna do? But relive old stories from our glory days of being scammed in RuneScape." Someone said, "Hey, if you type your password into the chat, it'll automatically get censored and turned into asterisk."
Have you ever done this, Danny? Have you ever played a game that has role play servers on them? Like a game like Counter Strike or Left 4 Dead or Team Fortress, there'll be servers that you can join that are community run, where you have to like commit to a role and pretend you're like.
No.
It is very fun to anger those people.
Oh, and tell them that like cell phones exist or whatever.
No, just to like see how long you can make it before they figure out you don't actually care about the world that you're in.
Just let them have their fun. Stop scamming these people. Stop. But also, they're toxic gamers, so give them a dose of reality. Rick, what's new with you?
Is that stereotype true anymore? That all the gamers are like, 20-something white guys overweight in their mother's basement?
I don't think they're.
It
overweight.
depends. I mean, like esports are huge now. All the esports competitors are super fit now and of like every different race or gender.
Yeah.
Is that because they're on camera so much?
It's because they all live in a house together, like a team naturally does. They have a coach and everything, so they have to stay physically fit because all they do besides that is sit at their computer, so they can't like be unhealthy
Sure.
because there's money on them. But plenty of like plenty of professional Twitch streamers and game streamers like work out. They either like are playing video games or working out.
Yeah, I remember that was a big thing in chess when Bobby Fischer came along. People started saying, "Yeah, just physically, it's exhausting. You got to be in really good shape to be able to keep your concentration for 3-4 hours." And hitting the gym is almost mandatory for those kind of games now.
We bought it's not going to be here for a month, but we bought an exercise bike with a desk on it, so we can start getting more in shape.
Doug Fitzgerald in the chat just confirmed how toxic World of Warcraft chat is. It's pretty bad.
Outside, Doug.
I heard my roommate getting like having to at 3 a.m. having to explain like Imperial Japan to somebody in that chat.
And that's toxic?
No, they were talking about how like something about how it related to like Trump or something. I don't remember what the conversation was, but like he had to go into deep history to check him.
Doug, if you're still listening, Doug, write in the chat the meanest thing someone's ever called you in video games. Rick, what's new with you? While we wait on Doug, our correspondent, bullied correspondent.
I'll apologize to Doug. I was not at the Maggie Sally open mic last night because I was having dinner with old friends that I know from back in the old Comedy Connection days. We started doing comedy together in like 1988. In fact, Kaylee, the woman of the partnership there was one of my students and still had her initial registration form.
Wow.
She was in the class there with Gary Goldman.
Wow. What was Gary like as a young pupil?
Really quiet. I mean, he really took it seriously. It was like a class. He was one of the few people who sat there and took notes and, did the homework to the letter of the law. And
Look where it got him.
Yeah.
Starring role in the Joker movie as the Joker. You you ate dinner, huh?
I had
Inside.
dinner. Paul Elwell made dinner. Paul Elwell's an interesting case. Like I say, he's got a nice family, a good life. He's a union welder. He's got a pension and all that sort of stuff. But back in the day, he wrote. He opened for Dennis Miller. He wrote for comedians. He toured with. He worked with Hicks. One of those guys that.
Spencer Hicks from American Idol
had his name in small print on the marquee with the in Atlantic City kind of acts.
He made it to the marquee.
And your dinner last night was indoors, I hear.
Oh yeah,
it was at their home.
It was at their home.
A little dicey.
Not really, because they got over the COVID. The whole family just finished quarantine 2 weeks ago, so it was considered okay. Well, we can get away with this.
Well,
you got away with it. Nobody's the wiser. We're definitely not talking about it on a podcast that we're broadcasting live on.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna know.
Patient zero of the third wave, my friend.
It was interesting that with the quarantine has a curfew now.
Yes.
And so that was something to really think about as we're having dinner. Is like, oh, geez, we better finish up soon because, is the tea gonna run? Are the police gonna be on the streets?
What time did you get out?
What's gonna happen? What we did, I stayed late and just got an Uber.
Nice. Did you see any cops rolling around while you were doing that?
No, but the streets were really, really quiet.
Oh, the streets were empty on Halloween too. This is before the new curfew, but Halloween was dead empty in Alston.
I think we're in for another world of hurt with this whole disease.
Yeah, if you don't know, Massachusetts, starting Friday, I think it was, issued a curfew of 10 o'clock.
Yes, they did.
Because they want everyone to be able to watch SNL live.
I understand you watched it, Danny. What were your thoughts?
It was a troublesome experience for me, to be honest, because we record it, but there was a football game that happened before that went way long into double overtime. It was a college football game. So they had to finish the college football game, and then they had to do the local news, and then SNL. So SNL started like maybe 40, 45 minutes late, and our recording got all fucked up. So and our internet also went out as we were watching it. So we watched it in very irritating chunks. Dave Chappelle's monologue, of course, very good. It was
he crushed it.
It's 16 minutes or something. He was only in one sketch really. He made a minor appearance in a second one, but I was surprised he was in so few sketches. Then I read that he was in Atlanta all week. Coordinating voting efforts, so it makes sense that he was not able to rehearse as much. It was fine. It felt very loose. The structure was a little strange because of a long monologue and all that.
Was Saturday Night Live? Did they not start until after the football game and the local news, or they do it at 11:30?
It was recorded from an earlier broadcast.
I was only interested in the monologue.
Yeah, which is interesting. I had kind of pictured them just sitting around waiting for this football game to end and then going live, but that would be silly.
Well, that was actually one of the big
worked out to a T.
Yeah, that was one of the big turning points with Leno's Tonight Show in the first couple weeks. His manager, who became executive producer, that blew up and got fired, and everybody hated and all that. That was one of the big points, is that she got on the phone with the network president, screaming that I think whoever was president or something was going long, so Leno was going to be delayed by a half hour or something or other, and she was just like, "No, you shut off the president because our show goes on at 11:35 no matter what." And it was like one of those things of you're crazy, lady. It was like one of the first breaking points where Helen was going to be out of the Tonight Show, and Jay was going to have to decide between the show and his longtime friend and manager.
And what did he choose?
Show. Well, partly because I mean she had been with him forever. The famous quote: "If you ever have a chance to see The Late Shift,
Hmm.
HBO did it as a movie with
Hmm.
Kathy Bates playing Helen
Oh, right.
Helen Kushnick, and she confronts and Leno's like, hey, maybe you don't work the network or whatever, and famously she says, all these years I've been serving you steak and you never asked how I slaughtered the cow.
It's a good
Because I
line.
I know from my experience, by the time Leno got to Buffalo, we were all like, "Who the fuck does this guy think he is?" Because his rider you had to have this kind of water in the show had to start at this. I had like all this annoying, really picky stuff, and then Jay gets there and he's like, "Yeah, he doesn't care. He's friends and everything." So she was the bad cop that would always lay the groundwork. She planted the story in the New York Post that NBC wanted Carson out, which absolutely blew up. I mean, Carson was furious, NBC was furious, but it started that thing of like, oh yeah, maybe they're grooming Jay for the Tonight Show.
This lady sounds like a genius.
Oh, she was. Yeah, I mean, she was. Yeah, I read the book. It's really a story of, um, you know, being ruthless and getting what you want, and then having it eventually catch up to you.
What's Helen up to these days? Is she still in the biz?
She did pass away.
Ah, when?
As
Right
soon
after
as
this?
Jay
A
said
long
no.
time ago.
Like
Yeah.
the spell was lifted.
I'm melting.
It's funny how so many of those stories have that kind of closure, where it's not like, oh, she's in the canyon somewhere, doing children's theater. It's just, oh, yeah, she
Well, I mean-
passed, and that's the end of that chapter.
And now Jay does his YouTube car show.
Right,
Yeah,
he goes
she
to
actually-
George Bush's house and rides in his truck with him. He doesn't strike me as a guy with many friends, Jay Leno.
I think he has a lot of friends. He just doesn't have. He just hangs out with the cars.
Cars are his friend.
Well, no, he has friends, but he can't go see them because he's hanging out with his cars.
Oh, they take up too much of his time. They're like Doc Ock's arms. They're
Everyone seems to
controlling
love
his
Jay.
mind.
Yeah. He has friends, but it's all generally about comedy or cars. I mean, that's just his interests.
Yeah,
What about getting coffee?
not in the car.
Not in the car.
Not in the car.
Is he mad at Jerry for stealing cars from him?
Well, the thing is
Car guy,
Jerry
no.
has to like either rent the cars or get the cars gifted to him. Jay owns every single car he drives in
Right.
his show.
Yeah, Jay Leno owns.
My guest today
was-
is... Sorry, go
was
ahead.
given, I believe. Yeah, he did an episode on this. In Carson Comes Home, Johnny Carson goes back to Nebraska, and they find the truck that he learned to drive on. So it's like a 1932 pickup truck or something. And when Carson died, Jay got that truck and had it completely fixed up and put it on like a little display thing in Las Vegas. And on the show, he goes through all the, this is how they used to forge the engines, and this is all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You think that truck ever realized it would have such a long life? It was just a humble truck where little boys named named Johnny learned how to drive, and now they're in the Las Vegas Strip. This truck must be like, well, what jackpot did I hit?
Yeah.
Trucks can think and have such thoughts, right? Hi, the election. It happened.
It did happen.
What?
Well, we'll see. We're still.
Well, it depends on what part of Google you're on. Some people
Yeah.
say it didn't happen.
They're
we
calling
did get-
for a
But here at the
vote.
Comedy Studio Podcast, we can safely say
Yeah.
it happened. There was an election,
Yeah. Yeah.
and somebody did get elected.
Who won?
Well,
You tell us.
on
In the
Saturday's
comments
show,
section.
John Reinman, who famously wrote a joke directed at Donald Trump, which infuriated him,
Mhm.
John was on the show and did a whole bunch of jokes about the election. And we did get somebody saying, "Hey, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. We're still going to court, and there's litigation, and there are people who genuinely believe that it's not over."
That's because
What
we
do
at the
you
Comedy Studio will accept ticket purchases from anybody. You
Yes.
hear that? Anybody.
Yeah.
Political background, race, gender, diversity, whoever you are, we want you to buy a ticket to our show.
You think it's over, Rick?
Well, yeah. It's just a question of how much damage is going to be done between now and January 20th.
Yeah, probably
You
a
know,
lot.
it's a lame
Yeah.
duck period.
I'm hearing a lot of choppers outside my window at night, and I'm like,
Trump's
Or
gonna knock on your window like Ron Weasley in the second Harry Potter movie. Knock, knock, car's here. Hop
Why are
in,
you
Danny.
making so many mean tweets about me?
We're going for a ride, kid.
Yeah, so the Republicans they're challenging this, right? They're saying mail-in ballots are illegal, illegitimate.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple different arguments. Some are picky but understandable. Like, should is a mail-in ballot? Does it have to be received by election day? Does it have to be received by November 10th? When is the cutoff point as to you can do your mail-in ballot that you can make sure it's done before election day? So there's a lot. They're challenging a lot of that stuff.
I don't think any of those challenges are gonna go through.
Yeah. One of the interesting things is if Trump got exactly what he's asking for in terms of those votes being counted, an awful lot of the military votes would not be counted because they're coming from overseas and wouldn't be received until after deadlines.
Yep. But Trump hates the troops. We all know that. He thinks they're suckers and losers.
From what I understand, that's
yeah.
interesting. From what I understand is I believe it says like from colonel up, like the officers really dislike Trump, but the enlisted really like him.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's like all the people I know from countryside Tennessee. That's the enlisted. That's who they voted for.
Yeah. Now, Danny, you have a military family. Does I guess you don't hang out with the enlisted much at all. Do you? Your family would all be pretty much.
Yeah. They're all officers, I think. My sister Grace is in the Naval Academy, but when she graduates, she'll be an officer. My sister Molly enlisted, but she is an officer now too. I think. I don't really know how this military shit works. I think it's all a scam, but don't tell them I said anything.
The military's a scam.
They just give you a gun and like, what do you do with that?
It seems like the rest of the country, there's a real divide there between rich and poor, black and white.
Well, I mean,
everyone's divided somewhere.
My family though loves Trump, except for my two sisters, who I just talked about.
Nice.
No, it's so nice. My uncle's leaving Facebook. I've been very good about not picking fights with people about, I haven't been gloating because I know how bad this felt 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Felt awful.
You did listen to Chappelle's monologue.
I did.
The monologue is the only thing I wanted to listen to.
Yeah, they did not have, but yeah, the monologue was the best part. And the Uncle Ben and Jemima All-State Guy sketch was very funny.
You might want to ask them about how they feel about Esper. Trump, immediately after the election, fired the Secretary of Defense.
If Trump fired him and he was doing something wrong, this is how they feel. They love these guys until Trump cuts them loose, and then they're the worst people in the world.
Yeah, except that this is like he's a military guy that Trump is leaving, is firing and bringing in like a bureaucrat.
That was Colonel Vindman. They don't care. They're in a cult. I hate it. It's so disheartening to see. But my uncle's quitting Facebook, so I'm not going to say it on Facebook, but I will say it here. Fuck you.
Just to remind you, we do stream to Facebook.
Yeah, he's not going to see this.
Okay.
Did he listen to my last podcast where I talked shit about him? Yes. But
there are 5 people watching. I will guess that none of them are your
my uncle.
Are your uncle.
Hey, but if you are my uncle who quit Facebook yesterday, yeah, call in. Figure out how to call me, and I'll hold my phone up to the mic. What was I gonna say though? Oh, so I will say though, not gloating is one thing, but the narrative now is that Democrats need to be nice to Republicans and give them time to sort their feelings out, which Democrats were not afforded in 2016. Now I get it. I understand the it's all part of coming together, and I think it's good that unity, blah blah blah. But it is annoying that the Republicans just seem to get cut more slack here.
Well, I mean, it's the sad thing is that the way that everyone's acting when Trump loses is the exact same way the Republicans acted when Trump won in 2016.
But not as much.
I mean, kind of, but it's the same. and that's the sad part. It's a victory that should be celebrated, but it's kind of funny how it's the same kind of celebration from both sides. Like if you just switched, you could just switch the dates on a lot of these pictures of people either crying or cheering,
That's
and
true, yeah.
and just it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is it that much difference between lock Trump up and lock Hillary up?
Well, I mean,
Trump should be investigated for crimes he may or may not have
Hillary's
committed.
Well,
crimes turned out to
they felt
be.
Hillary's emails in Benghazi that
She was
should have been
investigated
prosecuted
for
for that.
those.
She was investigated, but
was.
it turned out to like not
Yeah.
be anything. But Trump, he's just hiding from his indictments through the
Yes.
presidency. He's
One
got
yes.
he's got something coming his way.
He's got investigations at least, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Stormy Daniels, I'm sure, has something to say. Remember when she asked to play the club and her guarantee was
She did.
insanely high? And we-
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was gonna
And,
play Laugh Boston.
Yeah, and that did not sell enough tickets, and it ended up being canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think we made the right choice.
Yeah, but I mean, those are tough, weird decisions. You know,
They
It's like,
are.
well, we were looking at saying we can fill the place. We'll get a lot of publicity. We'll be known.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, our
Yes.
old intern Josh Mandel, he just commented that he's watching with your uncle right now.
Oh, no. Get out of there.
Ryan.
Hello, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
And this is good
Hope
chance
Josh
for
is
an
doing well.
advertisement. Josh is taking a class with Kathy Ferris and I,
He is?
doing very, very well. Yeah, and
Ah.
that we have classes at the Comedy Studio.
Wonderful. How's he doing?
Very good. Yeah.
You give him special
He's a good
treatment? 'cause
writer.
Oh, yeah? Good.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
every
we'll see.
student is special.
Well, of course they are. Otherwise, what would be the point of teaching and taking their money?
I think that's the point with stand up is everyone has to be, just by definition you're bringing something unique to it because everyone is unique.
Rick, I had a question for you.
Oh.
I've been meaning to bring this up for a while now, but I keep forgetting. You a few weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, talked about how you're only taking showers once a week.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that? That's crazy, man.
does your
And I feel like we
landlord-
blew by this at first? But
Are
I
you
re-listened
paying
to
for
the
hot
end.
water?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of research, and apparently there's actual bacteria and stuff on your skin that's very healthy, much like probiotics for your stomach, and that by washing every day you're actually stripping away a lot of your
All right.
body's natural protections and such.
While we talk about this, I'm gonna Google this right now.
Yeah.
You've made it this far, taking showers every other day at least. Why
know what I
stop
used
it
to do?
now? Yes.
What I used to do was to shower every day before a show. We had shows 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Thinking if this were the most important show of my life, I would shower before the show.
Mhm.
And I need to treat every show like it's the most important show of my life.
Sure.
So therefore, I would shower before every show.
Really speaks volumes about how
What
you.
do you
feel about
remember?
the Zoom
What
shows.
you read that made you?
It was
take
on
this
Alex
route?
Jones's blog, I believe.
Yeah, it was on Medium.
It was on
Okay, well,
Medium.
let's-
Medium, and then that Medium linked to I think it was American Scientific.
All right, we'll keep discussing it. I'll let you know what the Harvard Health
Yeah.
Publishing from
Oh,
the
good.
Harvard Medical School has to say
Harvard.
about it.
We
Okay.
trust Harvard, right? Hey, maybe they're right.
Yeah.
But I waited. This week I went 3 days, I think, between bathing, which is a record for me, and I felt awful.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it. I loved getting into that bath after a 3-day hiatus, but I hated feeling grimy and dirty. I just was too tired to to be strenuous activity of taking a bath at the end of the day. But it's working for you?
Yeah.
What's the smell situation?
Well, it's quarantine. We have no idea.
Yeah. Well, what did your friend? You had dinner last night. How did they react?
I
to
guess
you?
your friend
Yeah,
did
there-
not cancel
there
the
was no
dinner when you
recoiling in
arrived.
horror.
Okay, that's good. Good bellwether.
Yeah, that's a good
Anyone
start.
listening in the chat, let us know if you shower the same way as Rick does. Do you take? Are they long showers at least? Like, do you get your money's worth?
Yeah, well, I shave my head and I do, scrub the bottoms of my feet, and you do it's the whole thing.
How long does that take you? I want the listeners to really picture a nude Rick in the shower, scrubbing everywhere.
About 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good. That's a good
Short
shower.
showers are recommended. It's good.
Yeah.
What's that, Eli?
Now, do you have
short showers are recommended.
now do you have music in your shower?
I have
Oh, yeah.
podcasts
Podcasts and music.
Oh, really? Podcast, huh?
in my bath.
I have
I could do it over the shower.
I have waterproof earphones that I wear.
Now that's cool. I just put my phone on the tub and let it play over the speakers.
I didn't know they
That's
were
cool.
waterproof either. One time I threw them on the table and they landed in a cup full of water.
Ooh.
And I didn't realize until the next day that they were in there. Worked just
Ooh.
fine. They're still
But they were
good.
fine.
Yeah. They're broken now, but they're
Oh. I mean, waterproof or not, I'm sure spending the night in a cup of water is not like the most ideal for them. But I don't know. I guess you can go in the ocean with them.
Rick, did you suffer from dry skin before you started showering less?
No.
Okay.
A little bit, but that was also I was,
Dry skin seems to
I
be
don't
the
think-
biggest
yeah.
problem with showering more frequently.
yeah, because ironically by using a lot of water, you're stripping it of the oils and you get drier.
They say it hurts your skin more if you use hot water, so cold showers are better for you.
Do you do cold showers, Rick?
I don't. Hell
Yeah.
no.
I crank up that bath. You guys use you use Epsom salt in your bath, Eli?
I have before. I do like it a lot. I have a lot
it's
of friends
great.
who know that I take baths, so they always gift me on holidays bath
Aw.
bombs, and
That's very nice.
I got this thing one time that my friend there was a year where my friends just stole everything. They shoplifted all of Christmas, so all of our gifts were shoplifted. They stole me a
Jesus
bottle
Christ.
of this amazing thing called bath milk.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
it's like a $6 bottle.
I
You're
loved it.
stealing it.
I loved it.
Yeah, it is good.
It was
Bath milk.
awesome.
I love a good bubble bath.
I fucking
with
love
Epsom salt.
baths.
Put on an episode of our podcast once I get drunk enough.
Short showers lasting 3 to
Just
4 minutes with a focus
cruise.
on the armpits and groin may suffice.
That's a question. Do you listen to our podcast?
I do.
How much comedy studio product do you actually consume?
I consume all of the weekend shows because I'm usually there to bounce them all, and the podcast. And that's about it. Don't tell the other people. I don't watch the weekday shows.
I've
heard they're great. and I
The
believe them.
consensus on this Harvard article is that while there is no ideal frequency, experts suggest showering several times per week is plenty.
Okay. So now is one fall in the category of several? Several. To me
Several is
implies
more than one.
Plural.
Well,
plurality.
and is plenty would imply
Yeah.
more than necessary.
And in parentheses, unless you are grimy, sweaty, or have other reasons to shower more often.
That sounds like Harvard.
But if it's working for you, hey, I'm glad to hear it. I just it had come up, and on the episode itself where we talked about it, we kind of glossed over it a little bit too much for my liking. So I just wanted to really dig deep.
No, I'm glad we got to the bottom of this.
Yeah, get to the grime under your
Oh,
fingernails.
here's one.
Yeah.
People ask, is showering once a week okay?
Okay.
A daily shower isn't necessary. Mitchell suggested showering or bathing once or twice a week, and experts generally say a few times a week is a week rather than daily is plenty. Okay, so while some people are saying once or twice a week, the experts are saying probably make it several.
Yeah, look, yeah,
But it seems like you're fine.
you're fine.
Yeah.
You're probably healthier than I am.
But I wouldn't
With
tell people how
skin-wise.
often you shower.
One thing that caught my eye was that they're saying that all the cosmetic companies, Dove, all the soap companies and everything, are starting to develop soaps that, like now we take probiotics, going like, oh, there's bacteria in your stomach. That must be terrible. You want to get rid of it. No, there's good bacteria there, and that they're now developing soaps and stuff to encourage the good bacteria on your skin, because we're used to thinking you want soap to get rid of all of it.
I definitely don't use antibacterial soap anymore. That stuff, you shouldn't use it unless you're actively infected.
Do you
Your
use
generation,
Mhm.
do you guys, do you know what's your appendix for?
The
Why
appendix
is there?
The appendix is an outdated organ that just hasn't been.
like we haven't evolved?
It hasn't
past
evolved out of us yet. It's like wisdom teeth.
Okay, so that's where your knowledge is at that level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it is the thing that made Madeline's tummy hurt in the middle of the night, and they had to take her to the hospital, and then she got a scar on her stomach when they took the appendix out. None of you read the Madeline books growing up? Madeline?
Is there something
Yeah,
about the
she's a little-
appendix that you want to tell us, Rick?
She's
Oh,
a little French.
Madeline.
Madeline, not Madeline. She's a little French girl.
Yeah.
And her rival is Pepito, the Spanish boy who lives next door.
One of the folks at the dinner last night, the youngster, had his appendix, had appendicitis, had it taken out and everything.
Mhm.
And apparently, from what his doctor told him, is that the appendix actually isn't just an outdated organ, that there's actually a lot of good bacteria in the appendix, and that when under certain circumstances that gets released as sort of like a rush of antibiotics, if there's a problem down there, and that's what the appendix isn't just that they don't remove appendixes now unless there's a real specific reason to.
Oh, you usually only get your appendix removed when you have appendicitis.
Yeah.
But
there is something there is a useful thing to it.
Yeah, I'm reading the article I'm reading right now. It says exactly what you just said. It gets flushed through you in bouts of diarrhea.
Mhm.
Well, I've had plenty of that in my
Then you've got a nice appendix.
29-year-old life.
Yeah, when I grew up, the thinking was like, yeah, we don't know why it's there, but it's probably from eating twigs when we were cavemen.
Well, I guess it does have a. I mean, it should have a purpose if it's in our body, but
Yeah.
I guess it does. But it also seems to have a frequency of self-destructing, which is why it needs to be taken out a
Yeah.
lot.
Do you use deodorant, Rick?
Nope.
Patchouli oil? Anything? Just
No, I've got
au natural.
I have some cologne I may spray on as I'm about to leave the house. But,
Some aqua di Gio.
That's a lot of faith.
you know,
in
also
your
part of it
your
is
body's
also I've always been so thin
abilities.
that I've never
Uh-huh.
really
That's
really
true.
sweating and stuff hasn't been a problem.
Wearing those suits, you don't sweat even in the summers.
In the summer, I will, and now that I'm older, yeah. But I've lost 20 pounds since in the last 6 months, so
Wow.
I'm back down to 6 foot tall, 168 pounds.
Wow, it's impressive. Guess what I haven't done?
Jesse
Lost
Nicole
20
just
pounds in the
Well,
last
you
6
you
months.
better get a stationary bike.
we
Even
just
if
got
you have to put a desk on it.
Yeah, I know. That's why we bought it.
we just got a comment. Jesse Nicole said,
A lot of people listen.
my
Oh, hey, Jess.
my appendix exploded on New Year's last year.
Oh God, that sounds.
I'm so
awful.
sorry.
And the hospital's full of drunk people. Oh well, I hope you're okay, Jesse. Let us know.
Well,
Have your appendix call in.
if it was New Year's,
Yeah, she's probably fine now. I was in the hospital around this time.
Oh,
or
Jesse
around New Year's
also
time last
recommends
year.
that if you have boobs, you really need to clean under them.
there's
Yeah, I
there's the
do.
under boob sweat.
And then also her appendix exploded.
Maybe there's a connection. Maybe Rick, by not showering but once a week, is protecting his organs from exploding.
Oh my God, I am so sorry, Jesse. She also just commented that the doctors can't take your gallbladder out at the same time they're taking your appendix out. So after that happened, later on, her gallbladder also exploded.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Did you piss off God or something?
My God.
What did you do? Karma's a revolving door. So what did you do to? have
Well,
your
Jesse,
gallbladder
did
and
you
appendix explode?
did you piss off your own body
Yeah,
to attack you?
someone must have put a spell on you. Why do you think so many people are listening today? It's interesting.
You know, I wonder, Jessie, would she be a good person to have on as a guest?
Sure.
One more comment from Jesse that's relevant.
Okay.
She also said
She's
in
really
all
auditioning for this.
in all caps, thin people can stink too, Rick.
True.
Mm. It's been so long since I was thin, but I'm sure I stink. Nah, I was thin 2 years ago.
Oh, she's good. It was a couple years ago.
Oh, good.
We're glad you're okay, Jesse. Thank
We're
you.
so glad that you're not.
I'm
a
sorry
ghost
that I
just
was
typing right
giggling
now.
every single time I read something
No,
in your
it's
body
funny now.
exploded.
That's tragedy equals. What is it? Comedy plus time equals appendicitis.
Yeah.
I hope
that.
that's not the
Rick.
equation.
You said something last week. Do you remember what it was?
Is this the fact checking episode?
In a way, yes.
All right, I've got Google
I'll give
open.
you a hint.
He's been listening to the podcast.
I have, because I like to prepare. I'll give you a hint. I listened to this last night in the bath as it was drying. I'll give you a hint. You said it towards the end of the episode, and you said it with a bit of snark in your voice.
That sounds like everything.
Ringing a bell?
Oh no.
I'll give you another hint. It was a point of discussion that you wanted to raise this week. You said we're gonna start having content for once, which is where the snark came in.
Ah,
Are we remembering?
Who's
yet?
laughing now?
no. Did I give a topic for us to discuss?
You did.
I thought you wrote
Well, what
notes
is
on
it?
it.
What do you think makes a comedian? Is it someone who does comedy? Discuss. So, what makes a comedian?
I think it's a real question of of category. Is it someone who writes comedy? Is it someone who performs comedy?
That's
Is
the
it
topic of discussion.
Well, I mean, if we're talking colloquially, a comedian is generally assumed to be someone who does stand-up comedy.
Oh, I don't know if it's just stand-up.
Well, I'm talking colloquially, which means layman's term. So when you hear the term "this person is a comedian," you would assume naturally they are in the same category as like Burt Kreischer, Bill Burr. They do stand-up comedy.
Well, then you get into weird categories. Well, Burr maybe even, but Hannah Gadsby was Douglas, and the first one I forget.
David Mamet.
It was that. Is she a comedian? How about Chappelle on Saturday? There was a lot. I've been hearing a lot of people say, yeah, that was a nice speech, but it wasn't comedy.
I mean, the last part was the only real serious. I mean, it was all serious, but there were plenty of jokes in the 8 minutes before that 2-minute finale on his speech. But a comedian is a trade, so that's what he does for a living. So no matter if he's doing comedy on one set versus another, he's a comedian for his whole life. That's his trade. That's his job.
Once you're in, you're in. It's like the mob.
when he was in Atlanta saying go out and vote,
he was a
comedian.
Yeah, that's if you check his business card, he's a comedian. That's what people hire him for. That's his trade.
Well, you can put anything on your business card.
But that is Dave Chappelle's trade.
Rick, are you a comedian?
I don't know.
Yes,
that's part of why
I
it came up. It's like I host the shows. I do.
Well,
is
if you
this
do
show
comedy
right
professionally,
now, this podcast, is it
That's
comedy? It has
very
comedy
good question. So
it
are
has
you
comedy in the name?
So right now, Danny, are you a comedian?
I would say right now at this very moment, I'm on the same level as Dave Chappelle. Yes.
I would say that I don't get paid to do comedy, so I'm not a comedian. A comedian, in my eyes, is a professional trade. Like the title of comedian is a professional trade, so you get paid to do comedy. And I've heard people say, different things. I have heard a lot of comics say that you're a comedian when you start getting like regular paid work to do comedy.
I think anyone who wants to be is a comedian.
That's one of the difficulties. Everyone can declare, there's no school, there's no degree or anything. Anyone can say, "Oh, I'm a comedian."
Well, is there a difference between comedian and comic, or are those just interchangeable terms?
There was back in the day, long ago, but I don't think that exists anymore.
Back before
That's
you
part
guys
of the
had
reason
real
for the
shit
question.
to argue about, you argued about the definition of comedian and comic.
Jesse made a good point in the chat just now.
Okay.
She
really trying to get on the show.
We love engagement. Keep it up. She said she knows a lot of unfunny people that call themselves comedians.
Shots fired. And can we
Bang,
expect this
bang.
kind of energy if we have Jesse on the show? Maybe we can. Maybe
This
she'll
is our
make some
quintessential episode where three comedy people, maybe they're comedians, maybe they're not, talk about the biz.
I think if you stack the three of us, well, we can talk about the biz.
We always say.
But if you stack the three of us on top of each other, put a trench coat on us, that's one comedian.
Should we do that? We do the
Rick
three
is the middle.
people in a trench coat. We walk into a comedy club. We're, hello, we'd like to perform one stand-up comedy set, please.
That should. But going back
You think
to Jesse,
you think that ever actually happened?
the trench coat thing,
Yeah.
I mean,
it must.
it must. Like, nothing exists unless somebody's done it before, right?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Where do all the stock jokes come from? Where do you know, why are cats in cartoons are always like black with like that white face sort of thing? There's not
That's
really
the
a
cutest
brand.
kind of cat.
Yeah, there's not really a type of cat out there that looks like that.
Black with a white face?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
don't you have two of those, Danny?
Yeah,
Yeah, or a safe falling from the
do.
sky.
well, sure.
Well,
That's...
that was, I'm assuming, is because the pulley was the main tool used to lift heavy objects up to higher floors.
Or
And
someone wearing a barrel because they're so poor.
I forget what
For the
I've heard
depression,
I've
right?
heard
That
the
must
history
have-
of the barrel before. I can't remember the exact.
Mhm.
All right, Google. That's what Google's here for.
Oh, I happen to know it. This is a really cool book, American Cornball.
Okay,
What is it?
take your
And it's
time.
got all stuff like that. Well, stuff like the barrel. Apparently, barrels were just as common as we have nowadays as cardboard boxes.
Oh yeah.
So the idea is you're so poor that the depression hit and everything's gone to shit, and you're living in a cardboard box. That was the idea of the barrel. Is there's so many barrels lying around that you're using that for
clothes.
shelter and clothing. Yeah.
I'd rather live in a barrel, but I'd rather wear a cardboard box.
Jesse just threw some shade at us.
What? This is impacting your
That's it.
chances.
She's off the show.
Let's hear it. What did she say?
In the reference to her unfunny people claiming to be comedians, she added another comment that said Rick may have employed some of them.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean us.
Okay.
The
So
proverbial us.
the chapter
Sure.
on
We're a
Understood
team.
us.
the chapter on alley cats.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have cats that look just like those cats.
I remember over the course
According
of
to the book, there really isn't a breed of cat that looks like that.
Well, they've
Huh.
never met Diana or Shadow.
I
My
bet
cats,
it's
my
because of
daughters.
like whatever's easiest to draw, because animation has come a long way. So like whatever was simple, easier to draw is probably what they went. Plus like black and white, simple colors to use. I remember when watching Tom and Jerry, like when Tom used to be a much more simple cat, and then over the course of animating him, they added much more details and made his fur like bluer. They added more colors and they gave his face a lot more features. So like I think animation just took a long time to progress.
Same as Snoopy. You ever see old Peanuts cartoons and you look at
Mhm.
Snoopy? It's
Yeah.
like, this is just a dog. Who cares? But
Yeah.
it's not the Snoopy we've come to know and love.
Yeah, American Cornball, really, really terrific. Terrific. Like, why is pound sign X exclamation point? Why is that used to imply
swears.
swearing?
Uh,
How did
Great
that come about?
question.
Yeah.
Pre-wingdings.
Well, that's what this book has. It's like, yeah, this is where it was first noted and what it means.
Who wrote the book?
it's all in wingdings.
Christopher Miller.
Ah. I knew a guy named Chris Miller in college.
He
Nice
lives
guy.
in Annapolis, Maryland.
Ah, that's where my sister goes to school. It's about a 30-minute drive from where I am.
Yeah, you're in Maryland now.
I didn't
sure am.
realize the guy who wrote that book is now Trump's surprise acting defense secretary,
Oh, no.
Christopher Miller.
It's not the Chris Miller from Phil Lord and Chris Miller of the animated Spider-Man movie and Lego movie fame. Never mind. Hey, what did Jesse mean by unfunny assholes? That's
Yeah,
what she called us, right?
Oh, she also followed up by saying that just shows that Rick gives people chances, so it has a
it
happy
does,
ending.
and what a noble thing it is. to
Just
give-
send me a list.
That's so to go. I think that should be our prerequisite.
I
If
would
you
love
want
to
to
see
be
a
on the
list.
podcast, anyone can be on the podcast, but
Wow.
you gotta pay the troll toll.
Follow us on Facebook.
You gotta give the three of us each 3 names of people that you think are not deserving of the title of comedian.
Troll
It
toll.
can't
Is
be
that
like Carlos Mencia. It's gotta be.
You gotta pay the
something
troll toll.
controversial.
yeah? Is a toll troll? Is that an actual phrase or something you just came up with?
That
That's
is
great.
from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Well, troll toll I think is from like a fairy tale, but yeah,
They invented it.
Nope.
You
Yeah.
got
Toll,
to
but
pay
yeah,
the troll
troll.
toll to get into this,
this
boy's
boy's
hole. It's from the mind of Charlie Kelly.
I like it.
You should watch that show, Rick.
It is a very
I've
good
seen a
show.
few. Yeah, every time I see it, I really, really enjoy it.
It's probably the best sitcom of all time.
Interestingly, it started with the creator, the main writer there,
Rob McElhenney.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he was saying the way it all came about is just structurally with comedy that you have usually when you have a comedy team, it's this setup and contradicting that, and those two play off each other, and that what he does with that show is just extend that, so it's setup, contradiction, further contradiction. So it's and the joke he says he built most of it off of is I can't believe so and so he has cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and the next guy says yeah, I thought I was his best friend, and then the next guy goes like no wait, I thought I was his best friend, and that extending the joke rather than stopping it there and having it go back and forth, extend the conflict.
That's the key.
That's the key to the joke, is that everybody on that show, when they bring forward a premise, the next person takes it to the more horrific side rather than going back and forth.
It is funny how they've made how he's made such a successful show based around all the main characters being inherently unlikable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mirroring life. I mean, look at this podcast. One could say we've done the same thing.
3 unlikable people come together
And have
to
made
make
a very
magic.
successful show out of them.
A very
Don't
successful
forget.
Fox show.
That's my theory of Seinfeld. I think the reason everyone hated the last episode of Seinfeld so much was because it was just sticking in their face how unlikable these people were. When everybody was trying to go like, oh no, they're just cute and quirky, and that's when Seinfeld became more of a mainstream show. Was when everyone started saying, oh, but Elaine is just kind of funny. The last episode was like, no, these are really shallow, horrible people doing terrible things.
And they went to jail, right, for their crimes?
Yeah, that's
That was
how it
the-
ended. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, and in a
Sorry to spoil
twist
Seinfeld
only,
Sorry to
for you
spoil-
guys.
in a twist only Larry David would think of, the last lines of that last episode are the same lines as the first lines of the first episode.
Really?
Yeah.
So what are the lines?
It's George and Jerry are sitting there. It was the diner in the first episode. It was a jail cell in the last one, where Jerry says something like, why is that button there on that shirt?
Oh, I
You
remember.
don't like
Yeah,
the button? Yeah. It's a little observational riff on that, and he ties it all back to each other.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That Larry David can sure write a script.
When Regis died, I watched the clip of when Kramer went on Regis's show. And I guess Larry David had instructed Regis to say the word bonko so many times because he thought bonko was really funny. So you're watching Regis sound like, this guy's bonko. Like it just doesn't land. But he's really giving it his all because I guess Larry David insisted that it had to be bonko.
Are we on the precipice of you taking bonko back?
I think it's really funny. And I think I have used it a couple times since I watched that clip. This guy's absolutely bonko. It's very funny.
I'm going to make a
trust Larry
soundbite out of
David.
that.
Regis was like, why do I have to say this? But he went along with it like a gentleman.
He was,
Hey, how about Alex Trebek?
I know, that's sad.
Why? What happened? I was just saying he's in those commercials.
I mean, Jeopardy is just a sad show to watch. Did something happen?
Makes me feel stupid.
Apparently, George Stephanopoulos is rallying to replace him.
He is?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, hey, game show host is a great gig. I mean,
he's
Drew
had his
Carey went
eye
to
on
the
that
mat
job.
to get prices right. It's,
Really?
Yeah, it's syndicated. It's a ton of money. It's one day a week.
And you
No.
knock them all out, right? You do
Yeah.
a week's worth of filming. In a day?
Stephanopoulos has been like, my time has come.
Yeah.
He's a newsman, though.
Do you think
Yeah,
he
the
gave
old-
Trebek in the hospital room? You think he gave him the old "Long Live the King"?
The old Hollywood Squares was really funny because they would tape it all in, a day or whatever. But they would have a lunch break so everyone could change their costumes and change clothing, and that's when they would bring out the bar. So
Uh-huh.
if you watch closely, if you're a close observer, you can tell which episodes are taped before the drinking and which ones are taped after
Ah.
the drinking.
Is that why Alec Baldwin hosts Match Game? Because it's good money?
I think there was probably a thought of, and it can be done in New York. Yeah, I'm sure that was a big thing for him. It's like, hey, it'd be nice to have a regular paycheck and a creative outlet and thing
So
I
I
can do
could-
just down the street from my house.
Because he loves to be close to his daughter.
and hamburgers.
So he could call her. That was David Hasselhoff.
Oh, right.
Alec Baldwin called his daughter a greedy, selfish little pig over voicemail when she was like 12. David Hasselhoff was drunk eating hamburgers while his daughter was filming her while she was like 12, filming him. Yeah. Fun times.
Regis always lived within a block of the studio.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he always just went like right from the house, almost directly up onto the stage and just a natural.
Where was the studio?
ABC for Regis and Kelly, that was New York.
Right, but where in New York? Do you know? Like uptown?
Yeah, I went there. It's I don't know the address. Yeah, it's ABC Studios. So
okay. Hey, I don't blame the guy. If you're Regis, you don't want to be taking the subway everywhere.
David Letterman said
Pop
that
down.
Regis Philbin and Johnny Carson are by far the two best broadcasters, television broadcasters we've ever seen. He puts Regis in that category.
Would you agree?
Where
does Don Lemon fit in?
Don fucking sucks.
By the way, you finish what you were saying, Rick, and then I have an election night follow up.
No, I just think that's something to think about. Who do I think are the best television broadcasters? And I've always kind of struggled with what makes someone a good broadcaster as opposed to a good comedian or a good newsman. What is that thing that puts you in the broadcaster category?
Honestly,
maybe a discussion point.
I think John Oliver does the best job. I think he like really has the best mix of like cracking a joke every now and then, but like seriously talking to the audience.
He gets too cutesy with animals.
He does, but like when he's like serious, the parts where he's like seriously talking are very engaging, as opposed to like somebody else talking to me. But like he's very good at like enunciating, looking the camera in the eye, and just really like getting straight to the point.
Not so now, Panda Bear. We're busy learning, Panda Bear. Does a lot
so would you say he's a comedian?
Yeah.
Oh, he is a
comedian or broadcaster.
He is a comedian, and he's also now become a broadcaster.
Yep. I watch CNN a lot. Rosa and I do, and I don't know if you follow the youth trends, but they were watching CNN on election night, and
CNN was watching the youth. Oh.
Rick, I'm trying to be serious for a second.
I'm very surprised.
Don Lemon was making Don Lemonade.
That the youth was watching. Well, here's the thing.
CNN does not strike me as a
news
source.
All of these youths are like obsessed with the daddies on CNN now. They were like creaming their jeans for like John King and Jake Tapper and Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo.
So the big map was a big deal.
The big map was a huge deal, and I felt like someone who like saw Radiohead like play in like a room of 30 people, and then Radiohead blew up, and everyone's like, "Oh, Radiohead's so great!" And I'm like, "Well, I knew all along how hot these daddies."
You have no idea what I've seen.
How sexy Jake Tapper was with his stern Philadelphia disposition, and how money John King is at that.
Did we see a lot of Chris Cuomo and the Don Lemon, the evening commentators, as much as the regular news people?
They seem to come on around midnight. Don and Chris, who I also love.
Yeah, we seem to be seeing a real split in Fox News between the news department and the commentary department. The news department seems to be staking a claim of independence there.
Yeah. Gotta wait till July, guys, for your Independence Day. We have any more comments, Eli?
Oh, no, just Jessie saying she likes John Oliver.
So cross him off of her list of unfunny people.
John Oliver, you can play the Comedy Studio anytime you want to. Just let us know.
Hey, I love him as Professor Duncan in Community.
Hey, John Oliver, just send any booking emails to danny.hatch@thecomedystudio.com.
I'll handle that one.
You can handle that one.
Yeah, any booking inquiries.
All right. Well, hey, that was a good discussion. I think it's a nice place to seg into the end. It's recommendations time, isn't it?
I think so.
It sure is. What do you got for me, Rick? Put it in my belly.
Let's go. Well, we'll start local business. Just a quick comment. Hub Comics that I've talked about before, which is really great. Says they're going to be opening soon. So I'm not exactly sure when that is, but that's exciting.
Oh, that's awesome.
And something you don't think about: Union Square Donuts.
Oh yeah.
Right there in Union Square. They're it's a little bit of a splurge. I mean, it's really
Oh,
more
yeah.
like small cakes
Mm-hmm.
than it is like you don't go there and grab a dozen donuts with your coffee.
It's
But
not
they're
a classical
really
donut
so
shop
good
for
it's
sure.
worth the trip.
They are delicious. The maple bacon's really good, but it is
Yeah.
you got to
But
be.
yeah, it's like $4 a donut, right?
The maple bacon's 7, but the other ones are 4. Yeah, but they're good.
Wow.
They're good. They're just artisanal, but they're good.
Yes.
They're delicious.
And for
Okay.
comedy, I've got, like I said, I'm just make sure you get the newsletter because, like I said, there's 6 recommendations there every time. Something kind of cute, way off the beaten path. An old friend, Adrienne LaFrance, used to come by the studio all the time, and for like 6 months or a year or so when she was working up here, she's now the executive editor of The Atlantic. And she wrote a funny little piece. Does Trump really want to go to war with Philadelphia? Because they said we're sending all our lawyers in because all the vote counting has been wrong in Philadelphia. We're going to go to war with Philadelphia. So she just wrote a little, Philadelphia is the place that booed Santa Claus. They throw batteries. So like all the almost
with
like a Bill
batteries
Burke
and the sports teams when they win.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the bad stuff about Philadelphia, she has in a nice little piece that's kind of like, really, these are the people you want to piss off. Okay.
Did you talk about that robot?
Uh,
Robot? You
Wait,
remember
what
that?
robot?
There's a robot
yeah.
that was like traveling cross country.
Yeah.
And when it got to Philadelphia, it was near the end of its journey. It might have been the last leg when it entered Philadelphia, but it was traveling cross country and people were taking pictures with it, and it was for something.
Yeah, I
It gets to
googled it and I
and
see the title.
They immediately beat it and dismantle it.
Here, I'll read you the CNN article that just came up when I googled it. Hitchbot, hitchhiking robot gets beheaded in Philly.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. So yeah, sure, Trump. Go ahead and try to mess with Philly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
like that Gritty is now a huge meme. People are saying that Gritty won the election. The Philadelphia Flyers mascot. Gritty, the orange monster.
Mhm.
A lot of good gritty memes popping up.
The name of it is "Does Trump Really Want to Go to War with Philadelphia?" It's The Atlantic, and it's Adrienne LaFrance, LaFrance.
Great.
So if you type that in, it'll come up. It's like half page, funny little piece.
Great. I think Rosa was in the Atlantic.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Atlantic. Yeah, that's become they've really stepped
paper
up
of record.
journalism styles. Yeah.
Also, just while we're on the Philadelphia topic, we did joke about it a little at the top of the show, but how funny is that landscaping thing?
Oh my God.
Just what a perfect button on this whole thing.
Do you think that was
anyone
just a
doesn't
PR
know.
stunt? Do you think he's trying to look like pathetic and defeated to get sympathy, or do you think it's, I don't know, because I don't understand how making the mistake to book that place is one thing, but then deciding to go through with the entire interview, broadcast it live and everything, and have people come to see you there. I don't get it.
Never
I don't get it.
Admit that they made a mistake
Right.
ever. They always double down on everything. In case anyone doesn't know, Trump said that that his lawyers would be conducting a press conference at the Four Seasons Hotel in Philadelphia. And then he corrected his tweet to say it's actually at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping in Philadelphia. And lo and behold, in the back parking lot of the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, way in the outskirts of the city, not at all close to where the Four Seasons Hotel is, Rudy Giuliani and his cronies set up a press conference between a porn store and a crematorium, which is just a perfect image. It's so funny.
Yeah, it seems like a Veep episode,
It does.
I have
That's
no
what Rose
doubt
and I
what
were
happened.
saying.
Yeah, I have no doubt at all. What happened is Trump said, we're going to do a press conference at the Four Seasons, and someone said, "Oh, quick! The boss said we're doing this." They called the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons said we're not available, and it was like, "Oh fuck, what do I do? It's my job."
So I was thinking that at first, but then I wonder if they even skipped the step of calling the real Four Seasons and just didn't do their due diligence. Googled Four Seasons Philadelphia and called the first number that they got, and it was this landscaping place. And whoever answered the phone at the landscaping company was like, "Yeah, sure, you could do a press conference here."
Hey, this is the Four Seasons. What can I do you for?
Yeah, the real Four Seasons did issue a statement right away saying we have nothing to do with this press conference. We're not. It's not here. We don't.
Yeah. It's an indelible image. It's gonna live on for a long time. That image of Giuliani at the
I
press
wonder.
conference there.
I wonder if that landscaping company got more business because of that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
did. And I think yesterday they put merch up on their website because people were clamoring for.
Oh yeah,
shirts and
people are
stuff.
flooding looking for T-shirts. Yeah,
I mean, I want one.
yeah.
Jesse, you want to get on the show? You buy me an XL.
They made one that says
V-neck,
"Make America
shirt.
Rake Again."
Yeah, I think maybe it's the opposite. If you're willing to do our show, we'll get you it.
It's an honor to do this show.
Yeah,
It's an honor and a privilege. I feel it every week.
That does remind us that we do have merch available on our website. If you go to thecomedystudio.com, you will see a merch tab at the top of the page. Sorry, at the top of the page. And we have plenty of wonderful merchandise items for sale.
And we will host press conferences for failed presidential.
And then make merch for that.
Yeah. And a shout out to Danny and Eli. We are now over 10,000 podcast downloads.
That's right. Per episode. No, if only. Then we'd have ads. But yeah, what a long, strange trip it's been to 10K.
10,000 people have downloaded and listened to us talk.
Yep. 10,000 maniacs, as I call them. Because who would listen to this show?
I have a 10,000 Maniac story sometime.
Hit me with it, bro, because I got to think of a recommendation.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, we're going long.
We got time.
But yeah, I got a call. I was starting out in Buffalo, and Jamestown, New York, is about an hour outside of Buffalo, which has the National Comedy Center now. And I just get a call, open for some band, something or other, and it's just just a little bar. It's got seats maybe 100 or so, and it's no seating. Everyone's standing. It's just a bar band sort of thing. But it was 10,000 Maniacs, and they were just starting out. And the lead singer was Natalie Merchant.
Mm-hmm.
After I did my set, my little 10 minutes or whatever, she was like, "Hey, you're pretty good. You want to hang out? We're gonna do our set." I was like, "Yeah, come on, really? I came all the way out to this godforsaken place. Just give me my money and let me get out of here." That's my 10,000 Maniac story.
Ah, what a shame. Kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, I had a chance to kiss up and did not.
10,001 Maniacs.
There we go.
Yeah,
Would have been too many.
You want to be in the
all right,
band?
For my local business.
What you
thank there's this great local Chinese restaurant around here called Panda Express. That is just scrumptious. I mean, it's delicious stuff. The honey walnut shrimp, the Beijing beef. You got to come to Bethesda to get it. But if you're here, make it your beeswax to stop in at Panda Express, Bethesda's finest Chinese food.
John Groff, who's now executive producer of Blackish and the whole Blackish things, started up here in Boston with us. He used to do, when he was a stand-up, he had a funny joke about his mom saying like, "Oh, you have a McDonald's there? We have one in our neighborhood." He says, "Mom, you think all those commercials were for your one McDonald's?" Well, I didn't know.
When I was a kid, I used to listen to Loveline late at night, where I would learn sex tips.
Yeah,
Dr. Drew.
And I thought Loveline was a local Oklahoma City show. It was on our. I didn't realize it was Cindy. I was like, wow, this is pretty badass for Oklahoma City radio.
Yeah, go hang out with Alex.
Who?
Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew.
It was so. This was the Stryker and Dr. Drew era. This was after Adam Carolla left, and there was he was replaced by a guy named Stryker.
My first manager then became Dr. Drew's personal manager.
Yes.
And for my
good friends with good friends with Eli and his friends.
I mean, I've talked to him twice, I think, but he was a really nice guy.
Yeah, you were close friends with his daughter.
Yeah, Howard
Yes.
Lapidus.
Howard
Yes.
Lapidus.
Right. Yes. For my comedy recommendation, so much out there.
There's comedy studio shows 3 nights a week at 8 o'clock every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to recommend. Those. Thank you, Rick. You took the words literally right out of my mouth. And the book, The Will to Whatevs by Eugene Merman. Very funny book that he wrote that I read when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Do I remember what it's about exactly? No, but I remember I thought it was very funny when I was 17 years old. So read it.
Yeah, and we should thank Eugene and Dan Mintz and Jonathan Katz for doing a show with us last Thursday.
And also the track Burrhune Orchards from Michael Showalter's album Sandwiches and Cats, I think it's called. The track Burrhune Orchards has Eugene Merman on it, and I got to have Rick ask him about it.
You sent me a link, and the link is just a sample, and it didn't get to the Eugene part. It was just
Oh, it's all Eugene. Anyway, okay. Well, it's an ad for an orchard, and he's reading it in a very sultry voice, and it's about, you can puncture the teeth of the apples like they're your husband's balls, your wife's ass. Says it very sexy. So, all that shit I just said, I recommend.
Yeah,
okay, Eli.
Between that and Loveline, I'm getting a weird picture of your upbringing.
What?
All right.
You don't have a half of it, baby.
And the military.
I at least know a third of it at this point.
It's a whole stew of contradictions for me.
My local business recommendation is Sapporo Ramen. There's a couple around town, but the one I know is in Sapporo beer is pretty good. Japanese beer brewed in Canada. Sapporo Ramen, the one I know, is in Porter Square in the Leslie Building here in Somerville, Massachusetts. But
there's one in H Mart too in Central.
Is that a Sapporo?
I think so, yeah.
It's really good, and they will deliver as well, so you can get delicious fresh ramen delivered to your home, and it is really, really good. And if you don't live in Boston, find some place that makes fresh ramen and get some delivered to you, because fresh ramen and broth is delicious.
Now, what's the difference between that and the Maruchan? The stuff I can get for 25 cents.
Those are like dollar noodles, as opposed to making the noodles fresh right there.
Something that comes with a flavor.
Cutting the noodles and straining them right then and there instead of drying them. It's so much better. Plus, you get a delicious miso broth instead of a powder water based broth. A delicious miso based broth with the miso shavings in there. So good.
I knew some weird fucking kids growing up who would spread the seasoning on the dry brick of ramen and eat it like toast.
Oh, I have a friend who taught me that if you just take the bag and you crush it up a bunch with a hammer or something and then open it, you can eat it like chips. And I've done it before. It's good. It's a terrible snack in a pinch.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just awful. But hey, good ramen sounds good.
Yeah, no, that was a mainstay when you. If you got no money, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have soup and a sandwich.
Exactly. Oh, and my comedy recommendation is Jessie was commenting that she wishes she could watch John Oliver and Trevor Noah, but she doesn't have cable anymore. They actually post full segments to their YouTube channels, so you can catch up on all the recent, at least the most important segments on their YouTube page for free. And I do that nightly.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my TV to work.
What's going on with your TV?
Went to the storage unit and pulled out all sorts of cables and found a lot of really great stuff. But
what'd you find?
Oh, so you know what? I really should be just incredibly rich, sitting back enjoying my 60s. Boy, we did some really great stuff. Just the people who were involved, and it was a real eye-opening thing. I'm finding, just looking here, I got here's pictures of Tony V and Chris Walsh with Chris naked at our Christmas party. DJ Hazard, just all these.
Well, you're not 60 yet, so maybe.
Yeah, Alicia Yaffe, who's now a big commercial actor, is.
Start playing the lottery.
His headshot from when he was in college. Huh. So I emailed him that. So that's what I've been doing the last night or so, is just finding stuff from 1993 and sending it to people.
93. I was but a babe.
Yeah.
I hope it's got a marked envelope and not just an unmarked envelope.
No, I'm sending.
All right, guys.
I'm digitizing.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
Because the podcast is over. Thanks, as always, for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting to the listeners.
If you've got a comedy studio, if you're a comedy studio regular and you got a memory or something you want, I've probably got some memorabilia to fit in. So just let me know and we'll see what we can find.
You can contact Rick Jenkins at danny.hatch@thecomedystudio.com.
Yeah, and we'll come up with a reasonable price.
Yeah.
You guys start selling this shit, Rick. That's how you become rich.
For real, though, if you want to contact Rick Jenkins, you can contact him at rick.jenkins@thecomedystudio.com.
Yes.
Yep.
And for all booking inquiries, danny.hatch@thecomedystudio.com.
And the phone number for the comedy club is my personal phone number. So just give me a call.
Yeah,
You
they're,
can find
all
that.
right, well, they're taking the trash out outside my window, so I think that is the universe playing us off.
That's you know what the music means.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Hey, this was fun. I felt low energy at the start, but I always feel better at the end.
Bye, Jesse. Bye, Kevin.
Goodbye to both of you, and thank you for commenting.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Rick, and thanks, Eli.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Good
Bye.
night, Moon.